call to order the Effingham County Board of Commissioners meeting. This January 21st, 2020 at 5:06 p.m. Ask everyone if you would please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge of allegiance. Gracious Father, we are thankful again to be here amongst our friends and these representatives of each district to listen to the business that's at hand, and we seek your wisdom and discernment as we make those decisions that will be pleasing to you and be enriching to the lives of our constituents. So grant us the ears to hear, hearts to listen, and minds to understand and make those decisions that accomplish these effects, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 4 on the agenda, having looked at the first three consideration of the resolution to approve the agenda. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Under new business, number 2 and 3, staff is requesting that these 2 items are tabled to February. Is that first meeting in February versus February 4th?
February 4th.
Make a motion to approve the agenda with the said changes.
Motion by Mr. DeLoach, second by Mr. Burdette to approve the agenda with the changes from my clerk. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. We have an agenda. Consideration to approve the January 7th, 2020 regular commission meeting minutes. Are there any adjustments or corrections? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeLoach, second Mr. Loper to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. And we have 1 abstention. As he wasn't present, that's Mr. King. We welcome our public tonight, those who are here visiting with us. Get a chance to review the agenda that's on our website, and I hope you get a chance to review that and hear the comments tonight. These agendas are also maintained in our clerk's office and therefore you as well. We ask that you make a comment on the agenda or address an item that you keep to 2 or 3 minutes, and it allows others who want to speak to an agenda item to have ample time to speak to as well. With that, we have an appearance tonight at 5:05, so after that time, it's our appearance here. So, Chris, yes.
Good evening. Thank you for your time this afternoon. I have a question on an easement in Southern Hills Plantation. It was currently, it's actually part of the road system in Southern Hills.
Is recording or is it coming through as well?
Probably need to pull it in.
Is that any better?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay, thanks. I gave Ms. Johnson, I called Ms. Johnson about an easement in Southern Hills Plantation. We have a 10-acre parcel at the back of that property. The easement is a utility and drainage easement, 30-foot easement there. It used to be part of that property attached to it. Now it's currently owned by Effingham County. So I have a purchase and sale agreement on the property and want to ensure that we have ingress, egress, and utility easement to that property. So I gave a copy of that to Ms. Johnson as well.
So is there anything we need tonight, or just receiving that information for our attorney to look at?
Mr. Hyde, it's 30 feet, right?
It's a 30-foot easement, that's correct.
Yeah, it's basically to access this 10-acre parcel situated behind the subdivision. So we just need to approve an easement that I can draft and have on next agenda, if you want to proceed that way. But there's be an easement on the next agenda for you to sign as like a deed, to grant access to that parcel, 30 feet.
There's no reason why we shouldn't put it up on the next agenda.
No, sir, I'm familiar with it. It already exists there. And so it would just be, so Mr. Hine can sell the property and give the folks buying it legal access.
Help me with that. The easement already exists, so what are we approving?
Let's just say the way it's shown is part of the road system there, but it's not paved. And through the neighborhood, I wish we could put it on the board so you can see. So we have a plat here, but basically it's situated between two lots in that subdivision to access the 10-acre parcel.
So
It's undeveloped in its current state.
Sure.
Right now.
Is there agree with the board, just let the, trying to put that together and put it on the next agenda so we can get the pictures on it?
Sounds like ultimately you probably shouldn't have accepted ownership of that portion. It should have stayed with the 10 acres original, probably.
It would have made sense, but just given the fact, maybe back then, there may have been an option to develop that 10 acres behind the subdivision. And so that's why it's probably left the way it is.
And I currently have no interest in developing it, and it's actually zoned AR1 now, and it'll be one resident that it's sold to, so it won't change or be developed.
This needs to be on a future agenda, correct?
It does not to, do we need to maintain ownership of that property for any reason? Is there a drainage?
I believe there's utilities already situated underneath that area for that subdivision, possibly.
The subdivision has an inverted crown in it, so there's actually a drainage system that's on 10 foot of that easement.
Gotcha.
And that's what I'm proposing, is to only use it for utilities and ingress, egress, not pave it or concrete it, but possibly rock or crush and run maybe at some point in time, but no improvement to it that would cover up that, but to still use it as utility and ingress, egress easement.
And just so we're clear too, so in the easement agreement, we'll have that the county will not be responsible to maintain it for ingress and egress. That would be.
That's correct.
Will follow on the lot on or behind it, whoever you're selling it to.
Okay.
Director, our city manager, so make sure that's on the next agenda.
Well,
Anything else?
that's it. Thank you.
Yes, appreciate it. Move to our consent agenda. There are 2 items on our consent agenda. Consideration to renew the memorandum of understanding with Effingham County United Methodist Campground for use of a critical workforce shelter and/or post-event shelter, critical workforce shelter initiative. Number 2, consideration to approve and ratify the acceptance of grant award from the Rachel Ray Save Them All Grant Fund. Give a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Keeper, second, by Mr. Deloach, to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Carries. Moving to new business. First item is consideration to approve an assemblage permit for Jack Wilford to hold a turkey shoot at 1745 Highway 17 South, map number 297-59C-59B. Who's presenting this tonight?
Give me 1 second
Are you presenting it, or is Diane presenting it?
here. You have? Okay, she's got it.
Staff recommends approval of it. It's going to hold the turkey shoot, as it says, from 12 noon to 6:30, and it's on a large boat track or a large corner of 17 and Midland.
Any questions or discussions from the board? I'll entertain a motion here.
Make motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. Loper, second by Mr. Kiefer to approve, and I believe this is alternative number one. Alternative number one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries?
Thank you.
Aye. Next two items are tabled. To approve. So the item number 4, consideration to approve the first reading to amend Chapter 74, traffic of the Effingham County Code of Ordinances.
Yes, members of the board. Large truck traffic can be a safety concern on lower volume, narrower roadways due to their increased length and width of the vehicles. In addition, the large trucks weigh more than traditional passenger vehicles and light trucks, resulting in increased pavement failure. The county currently has some traffic signage restricting trucks on certain routes by weight alone, but this has become problematic to the lack of the authority to use the scale equipment and the practicality of it. The county's Transportation Advisory Committee discussed the need for recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to create an ordinance to address the truck issues on county roads. EOM prepared a draft ordinance for consideration under the existing engineering services contract with no additional cost for the county. This was shared with the cities of Rincon and Springfield. I forwarded to Guyton as well, and the Sheriff's Office for review and comments. The county held a public workshop on the ordinance on November 5th, 2019 to solicit feedback from citizens, and based on that feedback, some adjustments were made to produce the ordinance that is in the presented for first reading today. The county attorney has reviewed and approved to form the ordinance. Staff recommends alternative number 1, and we're not recommending any funding yet. There will be some signage replacements. We're going to do it. We're going to phase it in, and if additional funding that's not budgeted is required, we will come back to the board.
Any questions or discussions from the board? We have a motion for alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1. Second.
Motion by Mr. Loper, second by Mr. Loper, to approve alternative number 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Item number 5, consideration to approve a bid and to issue a contract to proceed for construction of a new gymnasium at Tennessee Motor Recreational Complex to R.W. Allen Construction LLC.
Good evening, Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. The county has been working on plans for a new centralised recreation facility since May of 2014. The first phase is well underway, with the gym construction being the next step. On November 5th, 2019, the board approved issuing a request for bid for the construction of the new gym to the top 5 shortlisted companies who submitted qualifications packets. 3 of the 5 shortlisted companies responded. Your bid tab is attached. The low bidder being R.W. Allen Construction LLC, with a total bid price of $4,502,470. As the county attorney has reviewed and approved to form the contract, staff recommend alternative 1. Any questions?
Any questions? All right, so things to get started. We have a motion for alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1 to award the contract to R.W. Allen Construction.
Motion by Mr. Deloach for alternative 1. And we have a second by Mr. Loper. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Carries.
Thank you.
When would they begin this?
We're still going through the evaluation process on the for the bonds. We anticipate that to be completed in the first week of February, and we hope to move there fairly quickly thereafter. But I think we're going to try and arrange a groundbreaking ceremony for that. Obviously, this is a SPLOST project and let folks know that their pennies are being well used.
And Mr. Deloach, Mr. Clifford worked real hard on this project, and they're ready to try to shovel some dirt on that.
We need to get one of those big pennies next to our picture.
Yeah.
So we can really
We have,
push the spots.
we have one to
You got
Mr.
one?
Deloach, we can get it.
Oh, nice.
So that'd be great, so maybe,
of pennies.
possibly by the next meeting.
A lot of pennies.
A lot of people, that's right, maybe by the next meeting, we can have some dates available, that we can make sure they're available and see what we need to do to make sure we let people know this is SPOS that work.
Will do.
Great, thanks, sir. Number 5, consideration to approve to amend 5.01 paid time off with the human resource standards practice policy.
Vicki had to leave because of illness of her mother, but these next few items, this particular one deals with our current policy that outlines the holidays approved for employees of the Board of Commissioners. We would like to add a provision that would allow employees to use the 8 hours of holiday paid leave at another time if they're forced to work during those holiday hours. This really has to do with a kind of a loophole in our administrative leave accrual policy. As you all know, that for exempt employees, if you're working hours that are not scheduled weekends, you can accrue admin leave, but that's only if you're working at a time where hours accrue. On holidays, hours do not accrue. And so while someone who is there, let's say on an hourly basis, non-exempt employee, can be essentially getting double time if they're forced to work there, let's say during the storm. The exempt employees cannot even accrue the admin leave under the previous policy just because of the way the policy is written. This wouldn't allow them to accrue the leave, but it would allow them to take those 8 hours that they would have received on that vacation day at some point within 30 days of when that vacation day occurred. There was a concern with regards to how this affects non-exempt employees, and I think the chairman wanted to address that because we were going to make it so that if you were non-exempt employees, you can either get basically the double time pay of working holiday, or just get straight pay working holiday and then use your 8 hours at some point during the 30 days. But by the way the ordinance is written, it could be interpreted that you're getting essentially paid for 36 hours for 8 hours worth of work. And so
Yeah.
I think we were going to amend, he was going to recommend
add a
that.
wording to it. Mr. Lee, I want to verify this. What you just said, item number 2 handles the employees who are hourly. If they get called in, they get the double time pay. So they're covered. But the way it reads right now, if an employee, and then it gets exempt, not normally scheduled, comes in, they get another 8 hours off the next 30 days. Reading this, I would say, well, I work double time, yeah, but this says section 3 that I get 8 hours in addition to that. So I'm going to suggest that if you approve this tonight, we add the word, take out and add if, I guess if an exempt employee, because that's who is the one that's checking guys for not getting the day off. The hourly payroll is getting the double time, they're getting money. They have a choice of getting straight time or taking 8 hours later or getting double time. Make sense? So I would like to, if you agree with that, understand that you have the motion to approve alternative 1 with the change of the language of an exempt employee. Mr. Lee, that sound fine to you?
And I'm studying to how we can look at it in order to make that determination tonight, so that if you want to, we can bump it to the next meeting. And I know Vicki's good about running these policies past the HR attorney up in Atlanta. That's through the ECCG, that's part of our dues. So it's not a separate fee we pay, it's a service that we already pay for. And she may have sent that to him to review. And so I'll probably want his opinion on it, see if it makes a difference, one way or the other. So I'd rather, if we're going to revise it out, then we need to put it on the next.
I'm going to take it to the next meeting.
Okay.
She may have had some answers.
Right. Sounds good. I'm just reading as a layperson, if I was getting paid hourly, and I read section 3 that we're adding, I don't think like it, another 8 hours off, additional double time. Motion to table.
All right, I'll make a motion to table item number 6 of new business until our next meeting.
Second.
Motion to table by Mr. DeRoche, second Mr. Loper to table to the 2-4 meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 7, consideration to approve a salary adjustment for the 911 and Sheriff's Office communication officers. Presented that.
I referenced this to the board a little earlier, that the 911 center at the MAC over the last 3 years has been averaging close to 30% turnover. It's been a struggle for them to fill some of these positions. And when they do, they're filling them with trainees, which essentially limits their utility for us during the entire training period. A salary survey of starting pay of communication officers in the area found that Effingham County has the lowest pay rates of communications officers. And the agency's contact gave us both rates, the terminal agencies and medical emergency dispatch certified. The starting salaries, and these are the ones, and I've kind of removed ones that really don't compare so much. I left Chatham in there just so folks know what it is, but we're starting our non-certifieds at $12.29 an hour and our certifieds at $12.91. Bullitt County is starting more than $2 more at $14.92 for non-certified and $15.07 for certified. Camden 14 and 15 respectively, and Chatham 13.52 and 14.88. But if you're there for a full year, that certified goes up to $16.36. Liberty County is again $2 more at $14.53, $15.25. Our recommendation, and normally we like to do these things during budget time, but considering the struggles that Jay's having, and I think we're just about to lose another employee, is that I'm recommending increasing the base pay by $1.75 per hour. It will not put us ahead of all these, but we're closer to, well, actually won't put us ahead of any of them, but it will put us closer to them, so it puts us in the game. If during budget time the Board of Commissioners so wishes, and we do something a little bit more comprehensive with regards to emergency services or employees here,
You don't have that information for us by the time, or we may already have it now. I guess other areas that there are big discrepancies that are surrounding.
For which ones? For sheriffs or 911?
I guess public safety. I mean, if there's a big gap, whatever positions with the sheriff's department and 911. So.
I know the sheriff was looking for his area, but what we collected here was really just limited to 911. 911 is a self-sustaining fund, so for the non-sheriff's dispatchers, within the revenues that we're collecting for this year, we were able to handle it without having to go to the general fund. The fund balance would only potentially apply to the sheriff's portion of these raises. And your total cost on this,
So we would get the 911 center and the sheriff's office communication officers
correct.
with this, okay? And I'm just curious, does the $1.75 per hour, say the person that we may lose, does that $1.75, I mean, will that, do we know if they would stay if they get that, or we don't know?
Well, if you look at the, I mean, you're closing the gap from, let's say, Bullock or Liberty County from a little over $2 to just about 30 cents. And our thought, we have advantages with regards to benefits. It's always easier to stay where you are and where you're comfortable. We think that'll make it a much more difficult decision for them to leave.
Do we offer any type of night shift stipend or differential pay for night shift?
I don't think we do.
We do not.
We do not. No.
That's something we should consider. I personally think. I know we're on night shift, we work different shifts, it's hard to fill those positions.
Well, I know, talking to sheriff for the Fort Wilbur, so you can get more aggressive with the pay scale, their officers as well. Tough competition.
We're close enough to this county for $2 an hour. It's worth the drive.
Well, maybe we could approve this tonight to approve our position where we're not training them and then they're going to work somewhere else.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and then what we can do is during our budget time is do some salary studies we need to do to see if we can get these areas.
Correct.
We get to get our budget down tonight. Got a motion to approve alternative one, which is the $1.75 increase.
Make a motion to approve alternative number one. Second.
Motion to approve alternative one by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Burdette. All opposed, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. Item number 8, consideration to approve to ratify the benefit contracts with Blue Cross Blue Shield Dental and Vision Insurance, Wage Works, Flexible Spending, and from COBRA Administration.
Yes, during the 2020 insurance renewal, the county determined that our needs could be better served if we moved our dental and vision insurance, our flexible spending account, and our COBRA administration to other providers. The decision was made on November 2019, and the agreements were signed with the new providers. In addition, we had to notify the 2019 providers that we were canceling the contracts effective 12/31/19, and notices were sent out to the providers. Staff is now requesting the board ratification of the cancellation notices sent to the providers in November of last year.
Any questions, discussions? Motion for alternative one.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Floyd to approve alternative one. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And carries. Item number 9, consideration to approve to submit a grant application to Animal Rescue.
Good evening. Christy Carpenter, Finance Director. We have an opportunity to submit a grant application to Animal Rescue Aid, and it will, if awarded, cover the cost of 10 beds and 10 toys for the animal shelter, and there's no cost shared. So we're just asking your approval to submit that application that's due January 31st. And staff recommends approval of an alternative number 1.
Any questions? Motion for alternative one.
Make a motion to approve alternative number one.
Second.
Mr. Lopez, second Mr. Deloach, to approve alternative one. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And carries. Thank you. Now we get to your busy time. Consideration
Yes.
to approve the budget calendar for year 2020 and 2021. Chrissy takes a big breath.
Yes, it is here. We haven't quite finished up the audit, so hopefully that'll be on the next one. But we're ready to move into the budget for fiscal year 21. So you have a copy of the calendar, and if approved, we will kick that off tomorrow morning with the kickoff meeting, and we should wrap it up around May 19th without any unforeseen issues. So this calendar just provides a deadline for submission of the pertinent budget information from the department heads and defines the structure and timeline. So we recommend approval of alternative 1.
Just like it's following the previous year's calendar as well, so.
It is.
Any questions about the calendar? Motion for alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Lowe to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consideration to approve to authorize, this item number 11, sorry. Consideration to approve to authorize the chair to sign a letter of concurrence for the development of a community public water system for Radiance subdivision located on Ebenezer Road, SR 275.
Okay, so I'm going to give a little background. This was originally approved as cottages at Ebenezer last year or thereabouts, and then it has undergone a name change, so it's the one across from the school on Ebenezer Road, and it's called Radiance now. And this is a sort of unusual request by EPD, or at least we haven't done a letter of concurrence before, but it was specifically requested as part of the water permit review process. You've already approved and signed a landfill letter, so that's taken care of, but this letter of concurrence was an additional letter requested by EPD in their review. And the engineer, Thomas Allen, is here to answer any questions about it if you have any.
Now, is this a private well system for the subdivision, or is
No.
it Springfield provided?
Springfield is,
That's what I thought.
yeah, Springfield's,
And you still need a concurrence letter?
Yes.
regardless of subdivision?
yeah, Springfield has provided their letter. You all have signed a landfill letter, that's usually what we do, and then they are additionally asking for a letter from the jurisdiction in which the development is located to concur with the development of a water system by another jurisdiction. So they're just closing the loop.
Okay.
I need a letter for us to concur with it.
Concur with our service delivery.
We're just dotting the I here.
I don't see the issue. Questions, discussions, award, it's just, now we got it done. Have a motion to approve alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second Mr. Ford, to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consideration to approve the resolution, number 12, consideration to approve the resolution to set the 2020 qualification fees.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As you all aware, we're required by state law to fix, publish qualifying fees for our county offices by February 1st. I won't go through the list, but attached we do have the listing and the resolution of the offices that are up for election this year. And these fees have been reviewed with HR, who handles our payroll. So as far as staff is aware, these fees are correct and noted within the resolution, and we're requesting your approval.
And alternative 1 is for the approval of the fees as presented. Have a motion for alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette, to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 13, consideration to approve to accept a proposal and award a contract for professional services for the booster pump station design project.
Yes, members of the board, the Board of Commissioners expressed the need to build a booster pump station for the 36-inch portable water line to improve water quality and particularly water pressure from the water delivered to the customers. This is the baseline that feeds the county from Savannah. The request for proposal for the professional services for the design was advertised in the county website, Georgia Local Government, Department of Administrative Services website, Savannah Morning News, and Effingham Herald. We had a mandatory pre-proposal meeting that was attended by 6 companies. Proposals were then received from 3 of those companies with the bid tab attached in your packet. The proposals were then reviewed by EOM and scored, who recommended awarding the contract to Thomas & Hutton who were the highest ranked. The total of Thomas and Hutton's fee was $105,100. The county attorney has reviewed and approved the form of the contract with Thomas and Hutton. Staff is recommending alternative number 1. The funding source of this is SPLOST.
Okay. Any questions or discussion from the board? Before taking a motion, we should note this answers some of the questions that folks were here not long ago about water quality and pressure. And this will be a little bit of evidence that the board's moving forward to correct those things, even though there's some density in some of our subdivisions. Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Motion for alternative 1.
Make motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. And carries. Item number 14, consideration to approve to rescind and replace a contract with UHK LLC for Indigo Road resurfacing project.
Members of the board, this is related to the Ash Road test road on Indigo Road. In November of 2019, you may recall approving a contract for the test road reclamation and resurfacing. It's approximately a mile. There were multiple versions of the contract at the time going around because we were waiting for test results to determine the amount of material that we would need. Unfortunately, it was not caught that the incorrect or not the most recent version of the contract was posted and presented to the board. This is to basically rescind that contract and replace it with the correct contract. This contract also included items like bonding requirements, etc. It also resulted in a slight decrease in the cost by using the correct version of the contract rather than what we mistakenly put in your packet.
You just had several going back and forth, and you just didn't get the final one.
Right.
Any questions or discussions? Motions to approve alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. And carries. Item number 15, consideration to approve the first reading of the ordinance to reduce the speed on Crystal Drive.
Yes.
It's a windy drive. They want to go from 35 to 25, and it's been covered by the sheriff, and our attorney looked at it.
Yeah, so there's a long history with this, which I've got which I'm now an expert on, and so this would reduce the signage from its current 35 miles an hour, which is extremely difficult, if not impossible, to drive that road at 35 miles an hour, down to 25 miles an hour. It does remove it from the radar list. However, we are in the process of updating that list, and this and several other roads are expected to be deemed as residential areas, which will then keep it at its 25 miles per hour, but then allow us to enforce radar speeds when that occurs. So this is just kind of a temporary step, and it's supported by the residents.
It's a good change. We get lots of emails and calls on that, so it's good.
Okay.
Any question or discussion? Motion to approve alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Deloach to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. Carries. Item 16, consideration to approve permission to travel to ACCG Capital Connection Conference in Atlanta.
This travel approval is for, as you said, the Capital Connection Conference in Atlanta, which is at the end of February. I have one commissioner who is confirmed to attend. If any of you are interested, there is still time to get you registered. Just need to know staff recommends approval.
Do we have anyone right now this committee going?
I'm sorry?
Anyone right now committee going?
Yes, sir.
Good. All right, any other question or discussion? Motion for alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lucas, second by Mr. Deloach to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed no. Any carries. Item number 17, consideration to approve a statement of credit letter and issue payment to A.A. Shaw Mitigation Bank for wetland mitigation credits for McCall and Blue Jay Road intersection projects.
Members of the board, this is for obviously the Blue Jay and McCall intersection project associated with the Effingham Parkway. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers permit application shows that the project is to require, it's going to impact 0.972 acres of wetlands, which would require 4.84 credits at $19,250 per credit, totaling $11,650. The mid-base, $111,650. We kind of got this on the agenda because there's a deadline before these, there's a 10% increase on these credits. And so we're recommending alternative number 1. And this is in the capital projects for 2019.
In fact, today at transportation board meeting, there may be a bill grant to actually pay for 80% of the cost of this project. The board knows that now. Were you there for that?
Yeah, I was just coming at that time.
So there's some grant money available to do this because it's not a $1 million project, I think. Has to be $1 million.
It has to be $1 million, right, in order for us to apply. So 1.4 million.
1.4, so it's qualified. Heard today we may have some grant money for that. That's great. Christie, I appreciate it. Any questions or discussion? Motion to approve alternative 1.
Motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Mr. Floyd, second, Mr. Burdette, approve alternative 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Carries. That concludes our new business unit for staff reports.
Yeah, I'll just mention the, if you had not had an opportunity to take a look at Indigo Road, we lucked out and had a series of dry weather. So they were able to get the base down, which is the original ash surface with the chip seal component, grinded up with the emulsion. I was out there Friday night. It seemed pretty rock hard, solid. And so the next step is the liquid asphalt, then chip seal layer, and then 2 inches of asphalt. So we're well on our way for that project, and hoping it sustains itself, so we can apply it to other ash roads as well.
Thank you.
Better wait on it.
Yeah, we know to see
I was
that.
skeptical. So
Awesome.
I'm proving wrong.
Yeah, we'll see how it does in test. Anything else? Mr. Taylor, anything else?
No, I'm good.
Steve, you got a report for us?
Yes, sir.
You get one right now. Here, maybe.
Okay, quick mention of Effingham Day at the Capitol, where our retreat will precede that event on February 8th. We will get started with our retreat session at 2 on that Saturday. Hopefully to go on Sunday from 10 to 5 or 10 to 6 for the retreat. The Effingham Day events will follow the following day. Again, a reminder for those who intend to attend the Capital Connection Conference. You need to get registered if you're interested. Within the information that you were just handed is documentation we received from the Census Bureau. So we need to verify our legal boundaries for the county as of January 1 of this year. There are maps within that information you were just handed for you to review. This information has been shared with the county manager, our GIS department, and the county planner. So, Mr. Chairman, you will need to sign a form once this review has been completed, so that we can submit this back to the census before March 1st of this year. So if you all can take a look at that, be greatly appreciated. You don't have it yet, but EOM has provided us with their monthly report for December of this past year. That information will be put into your mailbox. And that is everything I have.
So who exactly is doing the review of the vouchers? We as the board commission are doing this?
No, I gave it to you so that you all can look at it. Just extra eyes always helps.
Okay.
So our GIS department will be the primary that will review that.
Do you know what the time frame is for redistricting following the census?
I'm not sure.
I tried.
I thought about that too. I'll find out and I'll certainly let you know.
I'm sure we'll find it.
What would it be before the election? It wouldn't be before the election.
Not for this next election.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions, discussion? Is there any report from the rest of the staff? Our chief? 911, anybody?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I do have one other thing. This will go in your box as well. It's your financials from the finance office.
Financial statements in our box?
Financial statements in your boxes.
Is that you talking about the audit?
No, it's your monthly financial statements. You get this every month from the finance
This is
department.
December.
I'm sorry, December, yeah.
Anything from the board commissioners?
I don't have anything.
Just one thing real quick, just a reminder, our personal financial disclosure is due. I turned mine in last week and I was talking to Lydia. She was thankful that we took a proactive approach and we have the board of elections situated now because with the new machines, the size of the new machines, they pretty much need that whole building to work. So it's been, Georgia's taken a really aggressive approach on changing all counties at one time. So she was thankful that we got all that done and fixed. And Tim and I have a meeting with Abby Smith, our Director of Extension Services, on Thursday afternoon to discuss with her maybe some type of possible solutions on where that they will move to next, because we signed a short-term agreement with Board of Education for them to be there. So we'll continue trying to figure something out there.
I got an email. My personal financials, are they due by the end of June?
Yeah. I saw as soon as I get that email, I always fill mine out because I will forget. And I had to pay that $375 fine one time. That was it for me. That was that.
You don't forget,
That's right.
Yes.
I'm getting close. No, I appreciate Tim on the, trying to get out in front of the littering, get the roads cleaned up.
Yes.
Still want, I know we've had some changes with the code enforcement, but the public don't, and I still want to look at some way to try to address that. I know it's an impossible thing, but just people will think, want some ideas. That's it.
Tim's helping with some problems with some of these sand pits that I got over my district, tracking dirt out on the road. I think we need to look at possibly making put some type of shaker box on the ingress egress, because it's just making a mess over. Stagecoach is my worst area. There's 3 or 4 pits over there. Every time it rains, I get people shooting me pictures of their cars and the road, and it's just, it looks like a dirt road. But our new code enforcement guys help us out. Lee's help too with some possible penalties we can do to make it clean it up.
So we may need to beef up our,
Some, just whenever, the next one, they need to, I think we look at some type of, just driving over rocks, and cleaning those tires. They're dragging dirt all over the roads. One of the pits that was approved over, I think it was off Sand Hill, they actually designed a shaker box to drive over. It's like angle iron that clamps to the truck, and then they have to occasionally clean that box out. So something like that, I think we can look at doing something like that in the future. Because it's causing me a bunch of headaches and the citizens over my area.
Who would have did that on their own?
But they will when they start getting these fines.
Well, no, I'm on folks that's already done. Yeah, I mean, they would have did it.
anything else from you? We have 5 minutes before our public hearing, we'll take a 5-minute recess and then come back. We're going to enter into our public hearing tonight. We have several items for public hearing. The first one is the planning board recommends approving the application by Simone Woods for variance at 3450 Highway 17 South to allow a camper as a temporary dwelling while pursuing financing for a mobile home map number 325, parcel number 10, First District.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. and Ms. Woods have applied for a variance for the camper as a temporary residence at 3450 to pursue financing of a mobile home. There was a previous variance request on March the 19th of 2019 that was denied. They continued to live on the property, and code enforcement served a notice of violation, and hearing was held on January the 9th. And Mr. Woods submitted an application for a mobile home permit January the 9th after the court hearing. At the planning board, the board recommended approval with 6 stipulations, and staff has reviewed the application. Staff recommends alternative number 1. Oh, I'm sorry, alternative number 2.
Which is to deny.
Is denial.
Okay. We'll open a public hearing and ask if anyone should speak for this variance.
Say it one more time.
You state your name.
Simone Woods.
Okay.
And I'm Gerald Woods.
Okay.
And then what was your question? Sorry.
Just if you're speaking that you'd like to have a variance, if you want to give us any other information.
Yes, sir. Last time we were here, they told us that I had to apply for the permit before this meeting. I not only applied, but I was approved for it for the modular home to be placed where we want to put it. This week I'm supposed to hear back for closing on the loan, so hopefully she said I'd hear back by this week or the 1st of February, but she's hoping by the end of this week. So I can go into closing and they can start building the modular home to bring it out.
Are they building the modular home or is it a mobile home?
It's
a mobile home, you know, they're building it. Because we had changed some of the designs they had, so they had to build it.
Yes, sir, but they couldn't start building it because I changed some modifications in it. So they have to wait until I go into closing.
Okay. I just have a couple of questions of concern. On March 19th of last year, it was denied. And why were we still out there? You really should ask for permission before you move it.
I wasn't aware that we had to be here for the meeting. Under my understanding, as when we went to the office, they told us that we didn't have to be here to be approved to live out there. And then by the time I found out, I called them and asked them if I could go to the second meeting to be approved, and she told me I could not. So, and then from there, we didn't have nowhere else to go, so we just started doing everything we needed to do to get the house down there and apply for the loan and get everything ready to go. And then, I mean, we got the plumbing, or not plumbing, we got the septic, electric down there. We already started digging to put the pad down for it for when it's ready to come. I wasn't trying to break any, like go around y'all. I just wasn't aware I had to be here to be approved.
We wouldn't apply for everything, you know. We applied for it and not knowing, like you said, had to be here to the meeting, you know. We thought, once we applied, y'all knew what we was doing, you know, we was informed that we didn't have to come to the meetings and.
Right, you're talking about March 19th?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But it was denied on March 19th, and I'm sure you got a notice that it was denied.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. After I found out, I called to verify and asked if I could show up to the following meeting, and she told me no, it was already denied. And I asked her, you know, why it was denied, and she said because we didn't show up. And I told her that she told me I didn't have to show up to be approved. But under my understanding from Mr. Hood, is that his name? He told me that we had to be here for it to be approved.
I'm not sure what we were told then, but that would not be correct. We've approved many variances without people being here. It was probably not because there wasn't a home ready to go, and not what the reasons were. It wouldn't be just because you didn't show up.
Well, they had the wetlands that was on the property where the wetlands map had been changed, but we also took a bit of time to get Donnie Bradshaw out there and had him move the wetlands line back to where it was originally on this place. Because I don't know what year they changed the wetlands map, but I'm sure y'all familiar with that.
Yeah, the board decided, the only concern I want to lift up during this public hearing was the fact that when March 19th was denied, I know you received information denied, and the RV's still been there for that long.
We really didn't have nowhere else to go because we invested everything to save up to put this house in there, to be honest with you. I mean, we planned on putting it towards the back, but due to certain circumstances, we've had to move it up to where the campers are going to be. So that's where our mobile home is going to be placed now, because we started clearing and building up the road for access for them to put it back there. And then we had to change it, which that's when the underwriter told me that I had to reprocess that to get approved for it to be up there for the soil report or something like that.
So you do have one purchased now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you say you're waiting on financing?
I'm waiting on the underwriter to go into closing.
So you're approved, the loan's good to go?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
motor home's ordered, you're just waiting to close?
Yes.
And then deliver?
Well, once I close, they start building. Because there's so many different modifications I did to it, they won't start building it until I close to make sure, because I don't want to build it and then I change my mind.
Okay, so there's a customer also to their sales.
Yeah, it's pretty much customized to what I want it to be.
What's the building process for a mobile home? When do they think after you sign the paper, when will we deliver?
The building process for it, the max is 10 weeks for them to build it, and then once they deliver it for setup, the max is 6 weeks for setup. That's just if they run into any problems, that's the max. It can take shorter time, that's just if they run into any problems.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions, discussion?
The staff recommends 9, but I'm willing to go with the planning board recommendations, but this will be the last go around on this one. Y'all need to get it there and set up and done. So make a motion that we approve the planning board.
We need to see if there's anyone speaking against this variance.
Yeah.
Anyone not speaking against the variance? See no one, will close the public hearing. Sorry about that. That's no problem. Give everybody a chance to be heard.
So now you're ready?
Yeah.
I make a motion to go with the planning board recommendations. That's the alternative. Can't see it.
That's alternative number 1. So motion for alternative 1 to go with the planning board recommendations. Mr. Floyd, I think I heard a second by Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries. All right, you can be there for a while. I just want to express a little bit of caution about him and make sure we always get permission. Thank forgiveness.
Yes, sir, I understand. All right, thank you.
Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Simone Woods for a variance at 3450 Highway 17 South to allow a camper a temporary dwelling while pursuing the financing of a mobile home, map number 325, parcel number 10, first district.
Make a motion we approve the second reading.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette, to approve the second reading. All in favor,
Just
say aye.
just real quick, were any other, you didn't add any stipulations? Okay, I just want to make sure I couldn't remember.
We can change. I think we were thinking maybe we might want to change it, but that's
Yep.
heard the construction.
Gotcha.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Item number 3, the planning board recommends approving an application by Scott Funderbuck for a variance located at 4560 Blue Jay Road to remove the 30-foot buffer and adjoining properties to allow for additional storage building met in the 326 parcel number 36B, first district.
Mr. Funderbuck's property is on, at the corner of Blue Jay and 17. The adjacent property is the one to the right and rear, AR1, and they are family-owned property. The Dollar General is to the left of the property, and it's B3. The planning board would recommend approval with stipulations stated by the staff, and staff recommends alternative 1, which is approval with the
And
stipulations.
this gentleman owns both properties.
Family-owned.
Correct.
Family owns the other piece of property.
Right.
Okay.
The adjoining property is actually in my wife's name. She
We'll see if, when I ask for people speaking against the variance.
she's probably not going to do
Let's see
that.
how good this marriage is in just a minute.
But yes, we're just here to ask for the variance, the buffer variance.
Yeah, yeah. When I first saw that, I was like, we can't do this, and I saw you on both pieces of property. So. All right. Anyone else speaking forward? Anyone tonight would like to speak against this variance? It's going to damage your property.
Sir, can you state your name for the record, please?
My name's Scott Funderburk.
Any questions from the board? We'll close the public hearing. Any motion?
Make a motion we approve the variance, alternative 1.
Second.
Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Deloach to approve the variance. Alternative 1, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Second reading, consideration to approve a second reading of an application by Scott Funderburk for a variance located at 4560 Blue Jay Road to remove the 30-foot buffer at adjoining properties to allow for additional storage building map number 326, parcel 36B in the first district.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette to approve the second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And carries. Item number 5, public hearing. The planning board recommends denying an application by Village Park Homes LLC for a variance to eliminate sidewalks inside Creekside subdivision phase 1, located off of North Sea Conway Road, Highway 30, map number 436, parcel number 46 and 47 in the second district.
The staff has reviewed the application and, planning board at their meeting, they recommended denial of the request for the variance for the sidewalks. Staff recommends denial of it for the safety and welfare of the residents of the development and make it a priority, and the sidewalks would also correspond with the Effingham County mission statement to provide a safe and healthy environment to promote a high quality of life for our citizens. Staff recommends alternative number 2, denial.
Okay. Anyone like speak before this?
Mr. Chairman, Commission, my name is C.J. Chance from Hussey Gate Bell. We work for Village Park Homes. We're here representing them tonight. We sent this request in I think October, November. It also came at the same time as the reuse, which we weren't able to get those on the same hearing, but so 2 variants were actually requested. It's not like we filed for one and then we filed for another one. We're not coming back. So the variance has been requested for a variety of reasons. You know, some of them, you know, with varying levels of merit, I think. So I'll just start and I'll go down the list of reasons that they have been requested. One is that the current developer of the property purchased the development rights with a PUD, and it is my understanding that There was no requirement requiring sidewalks in the BUD, which is a recorded document, and therefore, in his mind, not having to construct those sidewalks. The second reason being that, you know, within the community, outside the community, there are no sidewalks on State Road 30, so they don't take you, you know, to the adjacent neighborhoods. Third reason being that the Corps would only allow 50-foot wide wetland impacts, and in this neighborhood alone, we've got 3 wetland crossings. At each wetland crossing, we're elevated about 3.5 feet. The road width built to Effingham County standards is 27 feet back to back, and by the time you tow out, there's not much room, even with head walls at those locations. Those plans for the road sections, for the drainage, everything, head walls have been reviewed, approved by EOM, Georgia Soil and Water, and the other agencies having jurisdiction. So in an effort to minimize the crossings, or the crossings that were given, which is 50 feet wide by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and that puts a pretty tough stranglehold on making those connections. Fourth reason being that there are neighborhoods in the community right now in Effingham County, although they may have started development 10 years pre-recession, there are phases getting approved right now that are not requiring sidewalks. Even the adjacent neighborhood is not requiring sidewalks. So there are no sidewalks being constructed in Park West. And I've heard it said, well, that project was started many years ago. This project was too. I think you might remember that Portrait Homes once had this project, and that's who started the PUD on this project. Although nothing ever came out of the ground, it was also started back then. Lastly, I think that the distance that you would travel and what you see now is only the first phase. There are several phases with about 400 homes that are planned to go in this neighborhood. It is a considerable distance to get from the amenities, which are at the very front, that are not centrally located, to the rear of the property, which will ultimately be constructed. So with that, that's 5 reasons that we request that you at least consider the variance request. And I do understand, I think, Diane, that both staff and planning board recommended denial. Yes. Be happy to answer any questions.
I'm not sure I fully understand the wetland.
So,
issues there?
Huh?
You understand what the issue is there with the wetland?
all right, so we've got 50-foot wide impact that was approved. That was not approved by the developer. It was approved, or it was applied for by the landowner. In this particular project, we have a landowner, we have a developer. So the landowner applied for the wetland impacts. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is getting stricter and asking for minimization, alternatives to minimizations. And one of the things that they asked for was to narrow up the right-of-way. So what we have now is a 50-foot wide swath of land that we can impact. Effingham County standards are such that 27 feet back to back is the road construction. So that's 12 foot of lanes each side, 24 feet, and then 1.5 foot of curb and gutter. That's 27 feet back to back. At the wetland crossings, we have to allow for drainage to cross up under, so we have to kind of mound over those culvert crossings. We got 3 of them on the main infrastructure road coming in. So that's the main road coming in. That's not the side roads, and I think that the side roads would be easy, but why would you do there opposed if you don't have anywhere to connect them all? I mean, basically you'd have short segments of sidewalk. So in an effort to design the road and get it constructed so that we didn't impact more than that 50 feet wide, we had to wind up putting in head walls. So there's a great elevation change as you go over the culvert crossings. And one of your ordinance actually says environmental concerns or topography concerns or something being a reason that you would not have to install those sidewalks. So it's all about the width that we have to impact it. Does that make any more sense?
A little bit. Because I'm really a big proponent of the sidewalks for safety.
Well, if it's for safety, Mr. Chairman, I do petition that the development next door is not installing sidewalks. So I'm not sure why it would be unsafe in this one and not unsafe in that one. And there are phases, I think, that have been recently approved in there and homes going up in that area now.
either. My first hesitancy is not setting a precedent where we allow sidewalks to be removed, and we have a hard time maintaining the ordinance that requires sidewalks. So I really struggle with releasing this. We have subdivisions right now building that are not required to have the sidewalks.
We had this request for waiver, and we've got some coming up in the upcoming.
But we have, I know what's going on now, but grandfather, is there a reason why they're not required to have sidewalks?
Yeah, I'm not certain on those, I can't give you, I'm sorry. If they're already underway, they started prior to the permit.
And I agree with Mr. Chance, I believe they.
But we do have some coming on the January planning board, same request for variance for the sidewalks.
Let's see if there's anybody else speaking, tonight for this. You may have some more questions, just a minute. Anybody tonight speaking against this variance? I'd like to hear from the rest of the commissioners, you understand this a little better in the board than myself.
But it can be done.
What's that?
But they can be installed.
Yes, sir, they can be. I'm not saying that they can't be. I do think that there are mitigating factors that make it more difficult and cumbersome and those things, but can they be installed? Yes, sir. I think there's going to have to be some protections put up in order to put the sidewalks adjacent to the back of curb in some situations.
We could always grant a variance in a wetland issue to build a boardwalk. They're real cheap.
That's actually a wetland impact in today's world.
I hear the thought, I just feel hesitant about going down the road. Another thing, I just not putting sidewalks in line and resolve that. Because I think this is the right direction to have the sidewalks in the subdivisions for safety, health, and welfare of the community.
Mr. Corbett, I don't believe there's any sidewalks in Park West subdivision, which is immediately adjacent to the project. And that project did have homes coming out of the ground before the recession, but it also has new homes and new phases coming in online. And it does make an economic difference when you've got one right here that is, you know, whether it's $2,000, I don't know how much it is per home, but however much it is, if you're putting them in here, but you're not putting them in here, then you're creating an economic disadvantage.
I think we can resolve and correct that.
But now, Park West, the different phases connect to another neighborhood. This one
Connects to Highway 30.
Connectivity. This, you know what I mean? This isn't time. It would be odd possibly to have a portion of a neighborhood with sidewalks and portions without it.
But at the same time, it would be safer for that portion to have it.
Yeah.
Not much less the children have to walk on the road, people want you to walk through the yard. So sidewalk walking, go down and see your friends and try to down in the pool or wherever you want.
These sidewalks can also make it more attractive for sales.
Yeah, our developer doesn't think so, but yeah.
I mean, I would, especially if I had kids, I would like to see more into it with sidewalks.
You know, I don't want them in my house, but I could see if I lived in a neighborhood setting where.
It's a dense, it's very dense area.
And perhaps there's a compromise there. I mean, you only see phase one, but the image that you see on the screen, the road that comes in off of State Road 30 and travels left to right on this page. While that is probably the most difficult place to put them, I think it's the place that makes the most logical sense for it to be safe, because that's where the most traffic is going to be. Down your side streets, once you come off of that main road, you just have long cul-de-sacs, you know, with 20, 30 houses on each cul-de-sac. But I think the amenities are located on that. All the side roads come out to that. I think that there's a way that could be implemented and it not be, at least it gets rid of some of the issues, such as what our developing client sees as an economic disadvantage. At least it gets rid of some of that somewhat. It is still burdensome on the wetland crossings because that main road is the road that has the 3 wetland crossings, so it would make for those 3 difficult crossings. Perhaps that's a compromise.
From a development side, this is not a front-end cost. Usually the sidewalks aren't put into a home is built.
The developer's a builder in this case.
Do I know?
The developer is the
Developer,
builder.
okay.
So it's the same
So
person.
there-
I agree with you.
Yeah, no, I see what you're doing.
Now, I just did on that side too, and we import sidewalks small into the backs of people who roll the trash cans around. They're just a huge convenience. And as Diane pointed out, we've got a lot coming up this morning variances, and we need to set precedents that we start enforcing what we're.
But I do think we need to, with what you shared tonight, we need to look at,
We need to go back.
if we deny the variance, we need to look at finding out who's building with that and why, put a stop and.
And I can see that if they broke ground, they've got vertical structure in the back before, and then they're adding that vertical structure, then you're changing the footprint of what they're doing. You have to go back and enforce that. Anybody that broke ground after this was enacted.
In a phase, if there's a 30 or 40 lot phase that's been approved, it needs to be approved with sidewalks, even if this section here does not have it.
I don't know about that. I don't feel like you've got something approved.
I mean, it's not approved yet.
Not in this case, but I mean, in another neighborhood setting.
So you start, if you have a subdivision in front, it's got 50 lots, and they build more in the back, they shouldn't have the sidewalks.
I would think.
That would take,
Because if I'm a developer, I've already purchased this land, I've already got this approved, I'm inspecting it, then you're really at a disadvantage. Trying to develop the rest of it, okay, I've not factored in this much per lot, and utilities and everything, and now all of a sudden, I'm gonna go to phase 2, and now we're gonna have to do sidewalks, and it's gonna look different than everything else, and then you're gonna have people, oh, we pick this over this, because it's got sidewalks, and, you know, from that standpoint, I would want to be similar to the neighborhood, honor what I'm allowed to do in phase 1. In this case, you can catch them on the front end, on every phase, must be the same way all the way.
You did bring up that this is phase 1, and I apologize that it didn't show that it's 5 phases, which was more reason to recommend it now.
But you said others are coming up, and there's
All
some.
these phases.
That's 5 phases within our
The very
development.
front.
we need to address, you know,
I mean, other neighborhoods are doing it too, is that what you're saying? Is that just?
This is their full project.
they'll
There are
have
5
formal
phases
phases
of their project.
We're going to do the first phase, your theory would say we would deny,
For all
we're
phases.
going to allow, for all phases not to have sidewalks.
Exactly. Go with
And I still want to address and get with you and zoning to look at even the first argument you made. Because if we had somebody who done phase 1 before our ordinance, and they got 4 more phases, I would contend it's still a safety issue to go ahead and do sidewalks in the future.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, I guess the argument that I'm making is these projects were moving on the same track.
Yeah.
One of them caught the economy a little bit longer
Yeah.
than the other one did.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
while I understand what the commissioner's saying, that within one development, that would make an economic hardship within that one development, it's no different to me in the next development.
Except for this, I would agree with that, and this is what we need to probably look at in the future, but if someone had come and put together a PUD that showed, or really put together all 3, we approved no sidewalks,
Yeah.
or they approved and they purchased it and had the cost, I'm with you. But if they got this raw land and they haven't had those sites approved and so forth, I think so.
You know, with all the points, if you got a neighborhood across the street that's not doing it, I can't see not wanting something safe starting here. You know, even if we made all the mistakes in the world, I don't want to keep making mistakes. You know, we got to start somewhere. If there's nobody's broken around in this particular development, I'd like to see sidewalks.
Well, if we want to argue whether the merits for or against sidewalks, this isn't the venue, it should be for a meeting where we're discussing the requirement of sidewalks. Now we have the ordinance, so,
I agree.
you know, yeah, this isn't really the place to argue, should we have sidewalks or not.
I think right now, unfortunately,
Yeah. I'm just wondering, you've got places where we don't have sidewalks, that's,
Yeah,
make sure we know we hear, because I hear what you're saying, we need to address that.
Diane, you said there's others coming. Is it in the same development or is it other builders and other
We've got
developments?
other variance requests coming on the planning board in the next, y'all's next meeting.
Different developments.
The third meeting.
With the same,
Requesting sidewalk variance.
different developments.
So the new
Yes.
development,
Oh,
they're not developments within.
Yeah, we hadn't started phase 2, but we would be coming for that one if we were that far
I don't know where
along.
she meant yours coming.
No.
Okay, so there is a, okay, yeah, okay.
I think we got,
I mean, I can say for me, I'm all for trying to work with individuals, developers, whoever it may be, to be practical, but this just doesn't cross that threshold for me. As, I guess, a hardship, if you will, or just plain common sense.
Developer, you're going to save some money if you can.
absolutely.
I mean, yeah, no,
I
I
don't
don't
think he doesn't think that's an attraction to bring people in.
But the engineer is also recommending that they all put sidewalks in too, and it, so.
You're engineer, not me.
I believe we've heard, everybody, anything else, TJ, you want to bring up?
That's,
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing and see if there's any final question, discussion, or do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative number 2, request for variance.
Commissioner, this one. Motion by Mr. Burdette to approve alternative number 2 to deny the variance, and a second by Mr. Floyd. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. And carries. Sorry.
thank you for hearing me out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the information. I learned something tonight.
I'm glad you didn't mention the, that it wasn't on sketch plan. That wasn't a real good argument. I saw that on the,
Well, you know what, I forgot that one. Would it change if I came up? Thank y'all.
Item number 6, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Village Park Homes LLC for variance to eliminate the sidewalks. We did not agree that here.
You don't have to do it.
So that's gone because it was denied. Item number 7, the planning board recommends approving an application by Robert and Tony Mimosa for a variance located at 300 Morgan Road to occupy a travel trailer as a temporary dwelling during a construction of residence map number 289, parcel number 6C in the 3rd district. Are you here tonight, nurses?
They're not here in attendance, but they were at planning board, so I'm not sure what came out with them, but they have applied for their home, and their construction is underway, and their construction permit was issued on November the 18th. They actually had a home off of Midland, and sold quicker than they expected. So they are in pursuit. Their house, like I said, is under full construction. The planning board recommended the approval of the variance for 12 months, and staff recommends approval for the duration of the construction, and has to be vacated at the issuance of our certificate of occupancy. We recommend, staff recommends alternative number 1 to approve the variance.
All right, just open a public hearing, see if there is anyone speaking for or against. Seeing no one, will close the public hearing, and I would say this is what you're looking for. It's not building a home that's going to be out of it for 12 months. So any questions?
is there, I just didn't see, is there a not to exceed date?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just didn't see that on there.
Well,
It
it
said it's
didn't
for
have
12
not to
months.
exceed, it just said that, the camper must be vacated, occupied during the duration of the construction, must be vacated upon the issuance of the certificate of occupancy for the new house, which they have a contract building, so it's.
I just like don't, I see houses get 3/4 done, run out of money, and they just keep, they can renew a building permit, and just, I don't know, I just like something finite. But I think we're good.
So do a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1 with the time frame being the duration of the construction of the new home.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Lowe, second, Mr. Lowe. Approve alternative 1 with the time frame be the duration of the construction of the home. Now, is that a change in Not changing the stickers.
That's what staff recommended.
Make sure. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. So we can do the second reading then. Consideration to approve the second reading of the application by Robert and Tammy Mimosa for a variance located at 300 Morgan Road to occupy a travel trailer as a temporary dwelling during the construction of the residence, map number 289, parcel number 6C in the 3rd district.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Kiefer to approve the second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Carries. And the last public hearing is the planning board recommends approving an application by the Core Family LLC, Heather Clift, to rezone approximately 37 acres located at 216 Magnolia Place from R1 to AR1 to put into a conservation use program. That's map number 345, parcel number 9, 10, and the 3rd district.
Yeah, so this, basically it says everything in the background, and they are requesting to rezone it from R1 to AR2, and both tracks will be placed in conservation, so in order to meet that, they had to come and request the rezoning. The planning board recommended approval with the stipulations that are listed above as meet the requirements of the AR1 zoning district. Staff recommends alternative number 1 approval, tracks 1 and 2.
Okay, open public hearing. Anyone speaking for this rezoning?
I'm Heather Clift, I'm just here requesting that it be rezoned so we can put it into conservation.
Thank you. Anyone here speaking against this rezoning? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1, staff and planning board recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Loper to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by the Core Family LLC, Heather Clift, to rezone approximately 37 acres located at 216 Magnolia Place from R1 to AR1 to put into a conservation use program, map number 345, parcel number 9, 10 in the 3rd district. Motion.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Loper to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. I think that concludes the regular scheduled business. We have a need for executive session tonight. I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss property, personnel, and litigation, or potential litigation.
Motion Mr. Deloach to go into executive session to discuss property, human litigation, and personnel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Floyd. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. You're in executive session.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion to go back to the regular session.
Make a motion to go back to regular session.
Motion by Mr. Loper, second by Mr. Deloach, go back to regular session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. No other business. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Deloach to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And we adjourn.